All right, back on the floor of the, I always want to say Nashville, it's Music City Drum Show. And I have my guest here, Boneyard Qualls. I love that name, man. Now, your mama didn't name you Boneyard.
No, that was actually given to me by some of the blues greats over in the Mississippi Delta.
Okay, so you're a drummer?
Yes.
And you came up playing Mississippi Delta blues?
No, actually, I grew up in southern Oklahoma playing Texas swing, country, and southern rock.
Mm-hmm. Well, Boneyard has the company. He's the American guy for Samsun cymbals.
Correct.
And they're made in Istanbul.
No, they're made in Samsun, Turkey.
That's right. Okay, they're made in Turkey.
Yes.
But we have a similar background in that I had a cymbal company made in Turkey, Turkish-style cymbals, which are usually handmade.
Yes.
That's kind of a qualifying thing of it, and usually thinner, more responsive. They can make them thick if they want to.
Yeah, we have everything from paper thin to extremely heavy.
How many series do you have?
Right now, it's between. We have some more in development right now, so it's right around 35.
Well, that's not 35 SKUs altogether, or 35 series?
35 different individual lines of cymbals.
Wow. You go through a dealer network, or do you sell direct?
I sell direct to the public. That's it.
That's it. See, that's very interesting to me.
And it keeps you very busy.
Well, you have to do the sales yourself.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you might find this interesting. I got involved in around 2004. And at that point, nobody was really selling online because the iPhone wasn't out yet. YouTube wasn't a thing yet. You know, it was just, that didn't happen until 2010 really where it caught on. And certain dealers were starting to sell online and the manufacturers wouldn't let them.
Right.
And I got hell from people who said, you, Michael, have an illegitimate business model because you're selling to dealers who sell online. Not that I was doing it. And I realized
that makes no sense to me.
Of course not. But I realized at that point you don't make friends by convincing dealers that they were wrong.
Yeah, because then you don't have any dealer network.
Right. And I did have some wonderful dealers, but I came in at the point where, I mean, if I were to do it again tomorrow, I think I would go your route. Because the dealers I had trouble adding dealers faster than they were going out of business.
And I've seen that happen a lot.
So how do you present your cymbals online that make that work? You have sound files or video?
We have our international website. We don't do any sales or anything that. And we don't have a lot of videos on there. But we have a YouTube channel with hundreds and hundreds of video samples.
Right.
Our artists are always posting videos and sound samples. And we have something coming up that we're developing. It's going to be a very immersive, interactive website to where you can actually click on a cymbal, drag it over into a virtual drum set, and if you have a touchpad or a touchscreen computer, you can play the cymbals along with a pre-recorded track.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. It needs to have things like that. When I first started, there was a guy, cymbals only. He just did audio files, but he was the first guy to do that. And most companies wouldn't give him the time of day. But he blew the whole thing open, and then Jim Pettit, Memphis Drum Shop, started adding video. But the idea is that you're getting the cymbal you're hearing or seeing, that one.
Right, that's what you're going to get.
And in the cymbal business, like the kind of cymbals we were selling and you sell, is they're all individual. So the idea was that the consumer didn't want just the next 21-inch medium thin. They wanted to hear it.
Yeah, that's one of the issues that I run into. People hear it online and they like it, but then they want to come hear it. So I have people that have enough interest that they drive as far as 10 hours to come to my shop to actually sit down and play the cymbals.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting that generally when I have a new customer come in like that, they almost always leave with a full set of new cymbals.
Well, where else are you going to get that opportunity, you know? You
Not
don't want to
very
do all
many
that and buy
places.
one cymbal, man. While you're there, outfit yourself.
Yeah, I remember one of the first guys that I had come over there. His name is Mike Birch, and he's the drummer for Wayne Toops Inside Occasion. And he's been with Wayne for about 30 years now. And Wayne Toops is a multi-Grammy winner and all this kind of stuff. But Mike came over, and it was kind of funny. It's like watching a kid in a candy store for the first time. At that time, I had about 250 cymbals on the shelf. And literally, he listened to every single cymbal, and then he picked out what he wanted.
Yeah. That can get a little overwhelming, too. There's a perfume store in New Orleans that makes their own perfume. It's called Hove. And they have little strips of paper. And what happens is after you smell about 40 of them,
yeah, you get overload.
You get overload. So you have to kind of pick it in batches and then take a walk.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about that was that I've known Mike for a long time. I know what he likes. And I already had a set of cymbals set up for him to try. And at the end of the day, after 9.5 hours of sampling cymbals, he left with everything that I'd picked out except for one.
Yeah, doesn't that feel good? I've done that before. Don Henley called us once and said, "We don't have to. Can you bring some cymbals out to the venue?" And I did, and I spent the afternoon with him. And I was picking out cymbals, and I wonder if he'll dig these. But he did. He was a total gentleman. But we hear a lot of cymbals that not everybody does right away.
Right.
Do it every day, and there's hundreds of them. And now, how many cymbals are in your own personal kit? Not that you play it once, but in your belongings.
That I own?
Yeah. That you've designated as yours. Because we can say they're all yours.
I don't really know. I know that I have 14 drum sets, about 50 or 60 snare drums.
Okay.
And
so you're a collector as well? Or are they just all tools?
Some of them are collectible items. Some are things that friends like Kathy Rich has given me, and Steve Smith and guys like that. And those things I don't like to play. I like to keep them, but I do play them sometimes. I have some drums that I got from Buddy Carlos and a few other guys.
I have a few like that, too, that I would never get rid of. I don't play them all. I got a Cooperman. Where am I going to play a Cooperman, right? But it's in my living room, you know?
Right. I mean, you know it's there, and you know that you can if you want to, but you want to, but you don't.
Right.
And but yeah, I mean,
but it's yours. It's there, damn it.
Right. It's mine, and it's nobody else's. And no, you can't play it. But yeah, as far as what I personally use, I have 4 drum sets that I use on a pretty regular cycle, and then probably 6 different snares. And about 25 different cymbals that I
ended up with about 50 cymbals, and I pick and choose. Have you been to Istanbul? Most certainly.
No, I have not.
You haven't? Oh, man.
I plan on going next year.
Man, I fell in love with Istanbul. And I was there maybe 15 times.
Yeah, the one thing, I want to go to Istanbul, but I want to go to Samsun because I want to go to our
I'm sorry,
factory.
I said Istanbul. I meant to say Turkey.
Yeah, the thing about Samsun is that it's a 9.5-hour drive.
It is. I wasn't sure where it was.
And you can get a flight, but it's not great. Yeah. But yeah, Samsun is a wonderful place.
I'd like to visit that. And just in general, I should have said Turkey, but my experiences were in Istanbul. I just love the place. I love the people, the food, the history, the whole.
Yeah, I think that
you'll love it there, man.
Yeah, I know that I'm going to like the food. Mustafa Durrell that owns Samsun, I talk to him quite frequently.
Okay, now I'm glad you said that. I wasn't sure. That's Durrell's company, Mustafa Durrell.
Correct.
And he has a brother too, right?
Actually, they are cousins.
Okay. And he has a Durrell cymbal company, or
his relatives. One of them owns Durrell cymbals, and the other one owns Murat Durrell cymbals.
Okay, all right. Right.
But Mustafa, they all 3 started Samsun together, and then they split up, and Mustafa retained Samsun.
Okay. You know the cymbal industry, right? It's full of stories.
Oh yeah.
Istanbul, Mehmet, Nakob, Zildjian family.
Yeah, actually, the 3 of them actually did their training at Istanbul Cymbals.
Right.
They started there when they were very,
that's
very
Istanbul
young.
Nakob.
Yeah,
that came out of K Factory.
They started. You're right. Before the Mehmet and they got split.
Right.
Just when it was Istanbul cymbals.
Right. I have some of those.
Yeah, and those are some special cymbals. And I actually had the privilege to talk to one of those gentlemen via a Skype call with Mustafa one day, which was a great honor to me.
I had Jeff Hamilton and I had dinner with Armand from Ako, and I would trade that for anything. They're telling stories. He was telling stories about being a kid in the K Factory.
Yeah,
it's just cymbal people, man. This is the holy grail.
They're a very close knit group of people too.
Well, that's great. Now, did you know about cymbals ahead of time? Because I didn't. I just knew what I liked.
That's what I was. Can I tell you a quick story how I got involved with Samsun?
Absolutely, of course.
When I was on tour one time, I stopped in at Ray Franson's Drum Center in New Orleans, Louisiana.
I know Ray.
And I was just looking at cymbals, and I've been playing Sabian for about 8-9 years at that time. But he had a Meinl Byzance ride, 21-inch ride, that I really liked. So I bought it, and I took it home, and fast forward 20 years later, and I'd put it away and forgotten about it, and I was cleaning out my drum room, and I came across an old Zelgin bag, and it had this Byzance ride in it. So I put it on Facebook to sell. And I got a text message from a gentleman in Turkey saying, "You have my cymbal." And I say, "I'm sorry, but this is my cymbal." And then he came back and said, "I'm sorry, my English is not good. What I meant is I made that cymbal."
Right.
Because at one time, the three of them worked for Meinl, and they were the ones who were the team that developed their Byzance line.
Right. And they signed him, did they? On the bottom?
Yes.
That's how he knew it was his.
Yeah. And we recently, I think it was last year before last, we switched over to doing laser printing.
I wish we would have done that. We never had a chance to do that.
Yeah, but like I tell all of my customers and my artists, if you have one that has his signature on it, you better guard it.
I used to kid the guys. They had the worst labeling in the world.
I mean, you look at it and you can't read it. You can't tell what numbers are.
Smudge.
Oh, yeah.
But that was part of the charm of it.
Right,
and
I mean,
a little off. That's okay.
They're just beautiful cymbals.
Yeah. And if you hate the label, it just gets a goof off and it's gone. You still have the cold metal stamp, they call it, which is the logo stamped into the cymbal.
Yeah, we have some cymbals that are everything is laser engraved. We still have a lot of cymbals that are actually silk screened.
Right.
But every cymbal that we make now has the model size, line, and serial number and weight of it engraved on the back of each cymbal.
We never did serial numbers either. That's a cool thing. Let me ask you this. Did you guys ever think in terms of, like there usually is a heavier spot on the cymbal. Maybe one spot that's a little heavier, so it tilts that way. Did you ever think of putting the logo on the top, underneath, so that it always faces the camera?
We've actually discussed that, and now actually a lot of them do get not the full logo, but yeah, it's a difficult thing.
And it used to be more important because you would want that logo on TV, but now they blur the logos. They're not giving anything away.
Yeah.
They'll blur them in real time. No logos.
So yeah, they don't want to be presented as showing favoritism. To
right.
anybody.
Not only that, they're selling placements.
Right.
So they can't give away to you something they're selling to someone else.
Right.
But I used to love to look for the logos, man.
Yeah,
you see it on some big show and go, yeah, that's my stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's and I actually have some signature cymbals of my own, and you should come by and hear them sometime.
Well, I will. Where do you live? You're in.
You can just come down to the booth and hear them.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah, I have my signature hi-hats down there right now.
All right, I'll come by.
yeah, come by and try them out.
Well, thanks for coming by here, Boneyard.
My pleasure.
How'd you get a name like Boneyard? Is that you can tell me, but you'd have to kill me, right?
Okay, no, I don't have to kill you, but I was over in the Mississippi Delta. I was actually in B.B. King's original Club Ebony in Indianola. I was there for the B.B. King Day and Symposium at Mississippi Valley State University.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the night before the symposium started, and they always throw a big dinner for all the guests and everything. So we were there at the nightclub having dinner. And I was sitting around with Tony Coleman and a bunch of other guys. And we were sitting there talking, and everybody was just telling their life story. And then it came to me, and I talked about everything that had happened to me and all the things that I'd been through in my life. And when I finished, everybody just, I don't remember who it was, but one of the guys looked at me and said, "Man, you ain't nothing but a walking, talking boneyard, and that's what we're going to call you."
Well, there you go.
So,
and you said, "Hey, I've been called worse."
Definitely.
Well, thanks for doing the little talk here, man. And I'll let you know when it's up, and I want to come hear those cymbals.
My pleasure, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you with the company.
Thank you.